Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Unlocking Growth Potential with Advisory Services. My name is Elise. I'm part of the marketing group here at SageWorks, and I'll be doing some introductions and a few housekeeping items before I turn it over to our speaker today. Some quick housekeeping. If you haven't been on one of our webinars in the past, we do have a Q&A at the end of the webinar, but please feel free to submit questions at any time during the webinar. There is a box to enter questions into the GoToWebinar panel on your screen. A little bit about SageWorks, if you aren't familiar with us. For the past 17 years, we have served the accounting market with our ProfitSense platform. And about 2 years ago, we expanded our offerings by introducing a product specifically for business valuation professionals, which is SageWorks Valuation Solution. At SageWorks, our approach to technology is, of course, focused on the product itself, but additionally, we really value supporting those products with great customer service after they've shipped. So our objective is to make a great product and then make sure our customers are able to use the product in the best way to meet their objectives. We recently won an award from CPA Practice Advisor for Technology Innovation. And as I mentioned, we have been serving the accounting market primarily, but in the past few years, we've also been building software to serve the banking market as well. Now, we always include a legal statement for all of our webinars, and you will have the recording will go out after this, which will have the legal statement in there as well to read at your leisure. But to summarize, this presentation will contain some forward-looking statements relative to publicly available industry data, but of course, we can't predict the future, and these statements are not intended to advise a specific course of action. Our presenters today are Joe Tarasco, CEO and Senior Consultant, and Nancy Damato, President and Senior Consultant at Accountants Advisory Group, LLC. Joe and Nancy founded Accountants Advisory Group to assist the leaders of today's public accounting firms in structuring and managing their practices to increase profitability, maximize value, implement succession planning, and achieve long-term success. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Joe and Nancy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nancy Damato. I'm here with my partner, Joe Tarasco, and thank you very much. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Nancy Damato with my partner, Joe Tarasco. Elise, thank you very much for the introduction. We thank everybody and really appreciate you joining us today and taking the time out of your busy schedules to learn about unlocking growth potential with advisory services. Accountants Advisory Group is located in Cold Spring, New York, about 50 miles north of New York City in the beautiful Hudson River Valley. We're right across from the river from West Point. And I'll turn over the presentation to Joe.
Thank you, Nancy. Just a few comments on Accountants Advisory Group services. We service the accounting profession in all areas of marketing, strategy, succession planning, mergers and acquisitions, facilitate partner retreats, and get involved in a lot of projects. This year, the project of choice seems to be partner compensation and accountability, and also leadership and advisory coaching.
So first poll question, which professional designation best describes your expertise?
And Nancy, I've just launched that poll question, and I'll leave it open for just a few seconds here to give everyone a chance to answer.
Okay, great.
All right, I'll just leave it open for about 5 more seconds. Let everyone get their answers in. All right, and that poll question is now closed. You guys are good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to take a few minutes just to discuss the state of the public accounting profession right now and how it plays into our topic of providing advisory services. We call this the phase 2 of the perfect storm. We're way beyond phase 1. Now, in terms of mergers and acquisitions, we have new consolidators entering the marketplace. We're seeing 5 to 7% average organic growth. Many firms are being challenged, especially those who are generalist type firms. Competition is increasing as many smaller firms are merging into larger firms with more resources, especially advisory services. Compliance services are becoming more price sensitive. We're also seeing some of these larger firms underbidding smaller firms in terms of audit fees and tax fees in order to get in the door to be able to offer advisory services. One of the other market forces is the increase in direct labor costs. Currently, it's averaging about 46% at most firms throughout the country. That is a long way from the old days of 1/3, and that is also challenging bottom lines. We all know and we all feel the pain of the increased competition for quality staff. Those firms that have not been able to implement advisory services and are continuing to increase the volume of price-sensitive work are really feeling the effects of the larger firm competition. And of course, because of demographics and the baby boomers getting older, we have a lot of managing partners and leaders currently retiring. So what we're seeing in terms of consolidation is very much a regional and national approach right now. As you can see from this graphic, this is where we see some of the borders and dividing lines with many regional, small, national, and national firms consolidating much smaller firms. So this is what the landscape looks like right now, and in a few years we're going to see many of these larger firms also consolidating, coming into a much smaller group of regional and national firms, and we're predicting that probably your second-tier firms will be forced to merge at some point and create a Big Five firm. So I'm sure you've heard the term future ready and being able to anticipate the needs and demands of your clients and those of the marketplace. So this is a typical model that we use in our consulting services, and we really lead with the advisory and innovative service approach. All of you are struggling to differentiate yourselves from your competition, and becoming more business advisors and becoming business partners with your clients is certainly a way to differentiate from your competition. In terms of target marketing and lead generation and everything else that goes into becoming a successful firm of the future and avoiding that merger up, there's a lot of things that we have to take into account today.
So we wanted to show you our prediction of the firm of the future in terms of revenues. Audit and tax compliance services will be even more price sensitive, and competition will be even tougher. Generalist firms will find it even more difficult to grow. Based upon all of those factors and the market demands, we are predicting an even greater investments in consulting and advisory services.
The latest IPA survey indicated that on average 26% of the total revenue in non-traditional services actually increased by 22%. And that's a long way from the 5 to 7% average growth that we see in most firms. And these firms ranged anywhere from 5 to 100 million.
So we wanted to show you the 2016 Accounting Today survey. First, the Big Four, the market leaders. They show significant increases in revenues from consulting and advisory services over the past few years. The lowest is PwC at 31%, up to 53% for Deloitte. And this we really feel is in response to what their clients are asking, their market demands. This is showing the 2016 Accounting Today survey again, but now we're talking about the top 100 firms over 30 million in revenue. And we'll show you the 30 million and under a little bit later in our presentation. So looking at these top 100 firms, 36 firms have 20% or more revenue generated from consulting or and advisory services, more than 1/3. So that's quite significant. Got Horn at 59% and Rafa at 38%.
Just want to show you a few quotes because I think it's very meaningful to see the strategy and concepts from CEOs and managing partners of the most successful firms in the country. And many of them are continuing to increase their advisory and consulting services and expand into existing niches such as family office services, but also expand those advisory services within the niche.
And Sikich, this firm, is 57% in consulting and advisory services.
Okay. So I mentioned the term before in terms of becoming a business partner with your clients, in terms of being able to achieve greater results from operations, certainly in their technology, and creating and helping them create more profitability.
So here's another example from this firm, and Joe and I thought this was really interesting. They're actually providing marketing and PR services to their clients. What a better way to get to know their clients if they don't already know them. And now you're really supporting them with contemporary marketing initiatives. You're helping them grow their firm and become more profitable. You're really taking on that trusted advisor role. Providing more services, you can charge higher fees, and now you're a true business partner. It really is a win-win.
So many firms have been assisting their clients with HR and especially with recruiting services, but many firms are taking it to another level. Here's a perfect example where they are offering anything from hourly types of outsourcing of people to recruiting high-end types of executives through executive search. This is a great graphic, and it also depicts the way they've bundled many of the HR and recruiting and consulting services to really show it as a true business, as a solution type of service to their clients. Okay. Just another quick quote, and the term innovation is really thrown around quite a bit. It's not that easy to be able to innovate, but this is definitely where the marketplace is going.
So here's an example from this firm, Warren Everett. They're offering staffing and recruiting. What is interesting about this is that they have a separate URL. It's wastaffing.com. So they've branded it. They're really making it a business. And they're talking about getting to know your business, forging a partnership with you, with their clients, and then helping their businesses thrive. And if you have a chance to take a look at the Warren Everett site, there is a family of companies. They all have the same similar look and feel from a branding and marketing perspective to their primary website, the CPA and advisor site.
And that's a good point, because many of you are providing some type of advisory or consulting, but it's sort of a line item on your website. It's not really promoted and marketed as a business. And you can take this example here. Warren Everett has labeled this daily money management. But take a look at the services to these personal services to the left. I mean, this is really a combination and a great example of bundling of many of the things you're already doing in terms of financial planning, in terms of estate planning, but they've turned this into
Nancy and team, can you hear me? Trying to troubleshoot the sound over here.
Hi, Nancy. Can you hear me?
At least I can hear you on this side. I don't know if we can get Nancy.
Okay, I'm wondering if I'm wondering if there's an issue with her connection. I'm going to try to give her a call real quick.
Great, thank you. Thank you everyone for holding. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We will be back shortly. Hopefully we'll get Nancy back on the line. And Colin, are you on the line as well still?
Yes, we're looking into it right now, and we should have a resolution any minute here.
Great. Do you have a slide deck as well?
Yes.
Can you hear us now?
Yes. Hi, Nancy.
Okay. Hi, Colin. We just called in.
Perfect.
We're not sure what happened.
We can pick up right where you left off.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So this is Armanino. This is an example of their CFO advisory services, and it's a nice visual on their website talking about the
Nancy?
CFO role. Yes.
Hey, we're not seeing your screen. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Of course.
No worries. I think we just lost it in the disconnect.
Okay. Great. I'm sorry.
If it's easier, I can just share my screen and I can click through the slides for you.
Sure. Sure. Why
Right.
don't we do it? In the interest of time, yes, thank you.
Yes. Now, what slide would you like me to pick up on? I think you guys left off on one, but perhaps we didn't notice right away.
Do you know what? Do you see the Armanino slide? That is the next one. It's perhaps two down. Two people. It has the CFO advisory services on it.
I'm looking at a group view here. Do you have a slide number? let's see.
It might be 23.
23?
It's 23. Does that say Armanino on the top left?
I'm just getting there.
Oh, it's at least 30. 30. Sorry.
All right, we're here. Let me just get my screen shared here real quick.
Okay, great.
All right. I should be sharing, and you guys should be good to go. Just tell me when you want me to hit the slide, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, great. So now you've got the Armanino slide up?
Yes. Yes, I'm on slide 30, and it says Armanino.
Okay, great. So this is an example of CFO advisory services, and what they've done is a really nice visual. They're asking the question, how does a CFO become less of an accountant and more of a strategist? And they're branding it the CFO evolution. So on the left-hand side, it's showing the current time allocation in terms of accounting services, 55%, and then the desired time allocation at 30%. So they're promoting the fact that they are going to help CFOs spend less time in the accounting space and more in the leadership space, which is really great. So the next slide is Horn LLP, accounting and advisory firm, and what they've done is they have cyber and they have wealth advisors, and they've actually branded it so they have hornllp.com, they have Horn Cyber, and hornwealth.com. So the next is just a screenshot of a close-up of what they do. So this is a really nice co-branded way. You can see that all sites have a similar look and feel. The next firm example is from Schenck, and I really like the fact that they're taking thought leadership to the next level. They're not only talking about demonstrating their expertise, but they are educating their clients and their contacts. They're promoting their education center, and look at all they have. So it's a little bit of a different twist, I feel, on a lot of the same thought leadership materials in terms of articles, guides, white papers, presentations, webinars, but I like the spin that they're educating their clients.
So the next slide, RAFA. RAFA is a firm that specializes in not-for-profit services, and this is an interesting example of bundling human resource types of advisory services, but focused on the not-for-profit industry. And they go everywhere from HR consulting to managing HR services to actually getting very involved with succession and sustainability for their clients. Next slide. So this is an interesting example of being an innovative type of firm, getting involved in location strategies as your clients grow and move to larger facilities, getting involved in everywhere from finding those facilities, dealing with real estate brokers, perhaps actually sharing commissions with real estate brokers, but also getting involved in all of the tax credits and incentives that you may find in different parts of the locality or even the country. So we go back hundreds of years ago when the Earth was considered the center of the universe. We know for sure now that we have other centers, the sun, and if we could go to the next slide, it's very similar with the accounting profession, that the center of our universe in the past was the skill sets of the partners and we developed services around those skill sets, hired staff, and marketed to clients. The next slide shows what's going on in the marketplace today, where the market demand is very much dictating the types of services that accounting firms are providing and those that are becoming more profitable. And this is also how we're marketing our services around the market demand, around these advisory services, and how we're hiring staff and acquiring possibly partners through mergers to be able to enhance those advisory services. The next slide, we see our buddy Jack Welch, and who knows if he really says these quotes, but they're really great quotes, and we see this quite often when we facilitate partner retreats. There is obstacles to making changes within accounting firms. It's hard to change cultures, but the outside world today is changing very quickly. Clients are demanding a lot more from their accountants, and CPA firms need to really react very quickly and also anticipate what our clients and the types, what our clients will need in the future, and the types of advisory services that they will need to become more profitable and even be able to complete their succession planning. So the next slide, we're going to get into a little bit more in, oh, we have a poll question, sorry.
All right, so that poll question is now open, and I'll just leave it open for a bit to let everybody get their answers in. All right, just a few more seconds, and then I'll close that. All right, and that poll question is closed. And Nancy and Joe, we are on slide 41.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit about how do we get started in advisory services. What's the best approach? And if we could go to the next slide, it's a graphic that basically is looking at this in terms of an integrated solution for our clients. The best way is to always get started with your current clients. We do a lot of surveys for accounting firms, and most of the time the clients are very happy with the traditional services, but are looking for more advice and for more consulting from their partners. And so if you can look at this as using your traditional audit, accounting, and tax services to be able to leverage off of those services and to be able to provide advisory services, and having your tax partners and your audit partners be able to cross-sell, this is a great way to get started and to develop really making these advisory and consulting services into separate divisions, segments, and promoting it in that fashion. And a good example is the next slide, where you can see that the advisory services that are being provided here very much part of the accounting and auditing types of knowledge that these firms are picking up from their clients, and being able to really assist their clients in terms of providing the necessary other components that they need to grow their businesses. If we can go to the next slide. You should all take a look at Armanino's website. You can get great ideas. They have a great set of advisory services. And as you can see here, that this is very much a integrated consulting type of strategy that they have. It's really, again, becoming a business partner with your clients. Next slide, please. One of the fastest growing types of advisory and consulting services that we see is certainly profit-oriented and also in the cybersecurity area.
This is ERP, Enterprise Resource System, and it's Plant Moran's technology consulting team. In this instance, they are targeting manufacturers, schools, governments, businesses, and not-for-profit organizations. And on this page on their website, too, they have examples. They have case studies, which I think are really a fantastic way to demonstrate your expertise and how you've helped your clients, fact sheets, and they also have a white paper, which I think is really a great combination of thought leadership. The next example is from Berry Dunn, a New England-based regional firm. Now, this is their strategic exit planning, and it incorporates a lot of services that many of you are probably already providing: succession planning, business valuation, and on this page on their site, there's a video which, if you're interested, take a look. There's an interview with the lead principal from Berry Dunn, and he's talking about the fact that he is a CPA, he's a certified valuation analyst, and they're saying that he's also a certified business exit consultant, which is, I believe, a new term. And he's talking about how owners need more comprehensive advice and how he's really targeting his privately and family-owned clients, providing way beyond tax and financial planning. And he's also talking about how the services that he's providing are consistent with his firm's brand promise, which is to help clients gain control of the challenges and opportunities that drive value. So I thought that was really interesting.
Next slide. So this is a really good example from Crow in terms of bundling existing services and promoting it under a label such as financial advisory services. So all of you at some time or another have been involved in assisting their clients in some M&A work, valuation services, forensics, and here they've made it a business. They have their own PDF on the website.
The next is another one from Plant Moran. It's their talent and organizational development consultants, and they're talking about talent assessment solutions, succession planning, leadership development and coaching, team building, and they also have examples of articles and webinars on this page and insights. The next is from Clifton Larson Allen, and they're branding the CLA Intuition Financial Modeling. It's their growth strategies. They're talking about looking into the future to transform the way you do business today. And this is their proprietary planning process. They're targeting healthcare organizations and higher education institutions.
Next slide, please. So benchmark studies have been around for a long time. Some of our clients who are involved in certain niches, industries, have been very successful in developing a brand in those niches using benchmarks. But now all of this is being taken to the next level, and with the ability to access huge amounts of data benchmark studies and using these in terms of helping clients manage their businesses more successfully, more profitable is a huge demand in the marketplace right now. The next slide is, again, an integrated service approach in terms of getting involved in clients' operations and efficiencies. And another area where we see a lot of growth is helping clients in their forecasting.
The next example is a family law services practice. And this is from a firm in Florida. They're promoting their bundling, their pre-divorce planning, post-divorce services, pre- and post-nuptial agreements. They're really talking about focusing on life phases for their clients and helping their clients strive to achieve the outcomes that enable them to move on through the phases of their life. This firm also has on their site an LGBT business in family practice, and we're going to show you some examples in a few slides of some firms who are offering those services.
Next slide is really I won't spend much time on this. It's just really a combination of different ways to get very involved in a client's business, and for lack of a better term, really becoming a board member and first-hand advisory.
The next example is another one from Armanino. Now, this is their AMF Media Group, and it's a division of the firm that specializes in marketing, brand strategy, public relations, advertising, events, and internal communications. And their tagline, if you will, is "We bring message to life." They're talking about that you know how to run your business and serve your clients, but are you equally skilled at telling your own story? And this is a full-service agency. So I thought this was a great example of Armanino expanding into different areas. The next is Back to Accounting Today. We wanted to show you, we mentioned earlier that we would show you the firms 30 million and under who are deriving 20% and higher revenue from advisory services. So here's the New England Capital Region and Mountain Region, and as you can see, there's from 20, in this case, up to 33%. The next slide is another few areas within the country, but again, under 30 million, 20% or more in advisory. And as you can see, there are a lot of smaller firms that are providing a significant amount of advisory services. There's just one more that shows the Southwest and the West, 20% or more as well. So we wanted to show you these examples as well.
So often when we give presentations or webinars and we show what some of the larger firms in the country are doing, many of the average-sized firms come to us and say, well, how can we do it? Well, this is proof that you don't have to be a top 200 firm to be able to make your way into advisory services.
And as an example, there's a firm, the next example is from Whittlesey and Hadley in Connecticut, and this is a snapshot from their website of their advisory services page. Not as elaborate, but yet it does do a nice job of talking about the services that the firm is providing, and you can see this here. The next one is transaction advisory services for both buyer and the seller side, talking about business valuation and cost segregation studies and M&A services to clients throughout the U.S. and also international tax. So again, not as elaborate, but it does a nice job.
And just staying on this slide here, just for a moment. Okay, sorry. Okay. In terms of presentation, you probably have 3 or 4 different businesses within all of the bullet points here. This is not to criticize at all, but in terms of bundling these types of services into individual segments is a lot easier sell and enables you to be able to also sell this to your referral sources, your bankers, as more of a solutions type of approach rather than just listing a bunch of services. If you could go to the next slide. So as we've done retreat facilitation for our clients for many years, we have seen many of our clients take what we've done in terms of the logistics and the strategy of facilitating a retreat and have been able to sell this to their own clients. In many cases, when they've told their clients about their own retreats, clients have asked them to conduct retreats for them, and it's becoming very successful. And there's no better way to be able to enhance that trusted advisor approach and be able to help your clients develop strategies and succession plans and really deal with some of their very sensitive internal problems. In the next slide is an example of, again, in terms of very sensitive types of issues, helping your clients in terms of compensation, executive compensation consulting, which today is very challenging, especially in public companies, especially in companies where succession planning is an issue. Moving to the next slide, profitability analysis consulting. So Gross Mendelson does it in a very formal way, not only in terms of operations and business logistics, but also getting involved in the technology aspects, software aspects, and systems. And if you can be successful in helping your clients increase profitability, well, that's a client for life. So in the next couple of slides, we're providing, oops, we have a poll question.
And that poll question is now open. All right, just going to leave this open for another second or two. All right, and the poll question is closed, and we are on slide 64, guys.
Thank you. Okay, so some examples in terms of acquiring advisory services through mergers and acquisitions, which we're seeing many clients now, especially in terms of some of their industry niches in the healthcare, is something we're seeing a lot of clients acquiring different types of consulting practices, whether it's for dentists or general practitioner types of consulting. You know, in this case here, I know it's a large firm, but we are seeing smaller firms also get involved in certain types of acquisition of acquiring financial service types of companies. And if we can go to the next slide. Mountjoy is a good example of going out and acquiring an HR consulting and personnel firm. Family office types of acquisitions have increased quite a bit. Compliance types of consulting acquisitions. And also, again, getting involved in your clients' industries from a consulting approach and acquiring, and when I say acquiring, it doesn't necessarily mean 100%. It could be 50%. It could be some sort of alliance, joint venture. If we go to the next slide. We see many firms getting involved in acquisitions or joint ventures in software companies. This is an example of a financial services company, One Source Financial by Glass Jacobson. Okay, and BKD in terms of financial institutions. Next slide, please. Okay, so we spoke a little bit about some of these areas, but how do we get involved in terms of implementing advisory services, and especially with some sense of urgency? Well, certainly you can acquire turnkey products that a company like SageWorks offers, merge in, as we just spoke about, either acquiring a consulting firm, advisory firm, 100%, or buying a part ownership, recruiting partners and staff with advisory services types of competencies. We're seeing a lot of competition for consulting partners, and it's not only where a partner may jump ship, go to another firm, but also bringing a mini department with her or him. Training partners and staff in certain advisory services. This could take a bit more time, but it's certainly a start. And one of the things that we mentioned over and over again is bundling your existing advisory services in terms of creating a real business. Next slide. We want to take a look at some future types of opportunities in terms of advisory and getting into certain niches. Could we go to the next slide? We put together a list of some current opportunities, but certainly future opportunities where we see growth happening in certain areas. CFO and controller advisory, big growing area. If you're in a coastal city, large economic environment, international tax is growing quite a bit. M&A, family office is also a very big growth area in terms of also wealth management being a part of it. Startup technology companies, New York City, Boston area, California, growing quite a bit. Industry specialization, of course, moving away from the generalist type of menu of services. And we're going to talk a little bit about, cybersecurity, as I mentioned before, growing, but also just in concept, and you may not be in agreement with these types of services or maybe being this aggressive, but some of the current events in terms of relationships with Cuba, the growth of the medical marijuana industry, and we'll give you some examples if we can go to the next slide. Next slide, please.
Nancy and Joe, are you guys there?
Yeah.
Okay, we're
Can you
on
go to the
slide.
next slide?
We're on slide. I've skipped a couple now. I'm not sure which. Are you looking for Cuba?
Yes.
Okay, we're on the second Cuba slide right now, slide 71.
Okay, can we go to the first one? Okay, stay there. Stay on the second. We're not seeing it here. So, so in terms of the changing events and relationships with Cuba, we see a lot of U.S. businesses going to take advantage of that, especially businesses in the real estate industry, construction industry, hospitality, service companies. So I think this is something that a lot of firms will be assisting their clients in this type of venture, and should be ready to deal with all of the logistics problems and obstacles that to help your clients as they approach this new marketplace, and really being able to advise them in all of the opportunities that will be available in the future. Okay, so if we can go to, if you can just go to the next slide, great. So we, as you saw that JetBlue slide, we're already in the stages, the initial stages of developing relationships, which again will bring with it a lot of opportunities for your clients. And so if we can go to next slide, please. Okay. The other area we're seeing a lot of growth with, and it is at this point with small firms. We haven't seen the top 100 firms enter the medical marijuana business at this point. Some people may be somewhat cautious, but there are a number of firms that are now advising marijuana-related types of companies in terms of especially taxes. And as you can see, here there's still the federal issues in deducting general expenses. If we can go to the next slide. So here's some examples of accounting firms and the types of services that they are providing. I just saw something in accounting today that one medical marijuana company has already paid their accountants and attorneys $2.5 million in terms of consulting and advisory services in dealing with the federal government and states.
And on this firm's website, they're promoting Ready Audit. It says the question is not if you're going to get audited, but when. So be ready with their Ready Audit services. So,
next slide. So I think this was the this might be one of the cases that had generated a large amount of fees, both from accountants and from attorneys. Next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of providing services in this industry, this is a good example of a really comprehensive type of approach, including workshops for many of the company executives in the marijuana field because many of them are really not business people. They grew up in different types of industries. This is all new to them. Much of it is product development on their end, so they need a tremendous amount of advice. It can be a very profitable type of industry in the future. So I think getting involved in this, and again, whether or not this is something that you feel is proper or not, it's a concept of being able to anticipate new markets, new opportunities before everyone else jumps in. Next slide, please. So this firm, Levy & Levy, they've been in it almost from the get-go. We've seen them a few times in terms of Accounting Today, IPA, and some of the other services. So here's some more examples in terms of tax planning and dealing with some of the more difficult IRS and state tax issues. There's a tremendous amount of reporting that these companies have to provide the state governments, state agencies, and in the future we see this even extending to federal agencies.
There's just one more example that we wanted to show you. The next slide. Yeah, Hannah Books, increased cash flow, bookkeeping, and accounting. Okay, so we wanted to move on to bundling, which we've been talking a little about, and now we've, oh, sorry.
And that poll question is open, and I'll leave it open for just a few seconds. Just a few more seconds here. And I'm going to go ahead and close that now. And we are on slide 79, bundling.
Okay, great. Thank you. So what we're talking about, the next slide, is creating a new service line or niche by bundling existing services. That's really the key. And the next that we wanted to just show you is the McDonald's Extra Value Meal, just as a way, an analogy. We're really moving away from commodity, and we're offering multiple services together. Name. So that's what we wanted to show you. This is really positioning, marketing, and branding, which is a lot more effective, and it's actually easier when you're bundling these services. So the next slide, if everybody can see, is an example. There it is. There's our extra value meal. So you might not want these products individually, these items, but as a group, it's a little bit easier to buy it, and that's what we're talking about, and creating value, intrinsic value to your buyers. So we wanted to show you a few examples. The next slide is actually from a firm in Nutley, New Jersey. It happens to be a client of ours. They are a 4-partner firm, so we wanted to show you that you don't have to be a large firm with a huge budget. This is personal business management and family office services, and many of you are probably already offering the services that are listed here, and they're branding it as family office services. One other item that's interesting to note is that the managing partner's title, he's using director of the firm's family office practice. He's using that on all of their marketing materials, on the firm's website, his email signature, and LinkedIn, and that's something that we really do recommend that you think about using a title like that.
And some of these services, if you take a look at the lifestyle services, some of them are outsourced, and they've taken on other partners. So in terms of the example of the lifestyle concierge healthcare solution, that's really being done by a separate company. In terms of some of the concierge services, in terms of travel-related services and things like that, they are outsourcing. So we don't want you to think that all this has to be done in terms of having it all under one roof at your firm, but partnering up with other types of providers to really come together and offer a comprehensive approach, whether you call this personal financial business management, family office services, lifestyle. It's really being able to address the needs of wealthy people and advise them accordingly.
Another example of bundling, the next one is also from Geltrude. It's a divorce financial analysis planning, and services include business valuation and forensic accounting. So again, probably some services that you're already offering, and just really targeting and bundling it and targeting it to a specific target audience. I mentioned it earlier. The next is accounting, tax, and advisory services for the LGBT community. And this is from Markham. They've been promoting this as a bundled group for a while now. Geltrude is also, the next slide is Geltrude's offering in this area. So what they did is they created a PDF, a marketing piece. They have a webinar. They have all of the traditional thought leadership tools to help demonstrate their expertise in this area.
Again, if you take a look at the services that they're providing down at the right bottom, again, it's something, another perfect example of bundling. Many of the services that you're providing now, these are focused and tailored and customized to LGBT types of needed solutions. So again, it's not a lot of startup costs. It's just a matter of where you're going to position these services and how you're going to promote them.
So next we wanted to talk a little bit about strategic positioning and what you should consider when developing a marketing and lead generation plan for your firm. The next slide is about taking all of the factors into consideration. Your geography, your actual location, and going beyond that, and also the niches and specialty practice areas that you already have and the ones that you should be offering, what your marketplace is demanding, what your clients want, and what they're asking for, and actually taking that to the next level, going beyond just being proactive and actually really anticipating their needs. The marketing and sales capabilities within your firm, your size, your marketing budget, and also attracting, retaining, and developing staff. That certainly comes into play here.
I wanted to mention very early on in the presentation, we were talking about the effects of consolidation. And being able to position your firm while consolidation is taking place around you is very important, because I think that the consolidation of firms in your local area will open up some great opportunities for you, but you have to be able to be ready to attract those types of clients, attract those types of staff and partners that really fit into your strategy and the types of clients that you have the best shot of being to engage and being able to get a good return on your investment. So we're looking at profitability, and what we have seen is a lot of smaller firms being able to pick off clients when there is a combination of firms in the area, and the smaller firm being able to substantiate the fact that they can provide the same types of advisory services, consulting services that the larger firm can provide at a much cost-effective price.
So the next slide is talking about positioning to compete with larger firms. You can see this visual here. So really, even smaller firms are now competing with larger firms. In order to remain competitive, in order to increase growth, we're suggesting that you should develop and implement a marketing and lead generation plan that is around your advisory service offerings. So on the next slide, if we can just talk a little bit about target marketing and lead generation. And we wanted to give you some ideas how you can implement these strategies at your firms. The next slide, Steve Covey really, I believe, summed it up best by saying, begin with the end in mind. What services are your clients asking for? What opportunities are there in the marketplace? What expertise and talent do you have? Can you take an inventory of what you have currently and what you perhaps need to acquire? And a lot of the answers that you seek are with your existing clients. I suggest that you really take a look at your top existing clients and look at their characteristics and what makes them profitable clients for you, and then you can develop a plan based on identifying and pursuing additional prospective clients that have those same characteristics. And of course, referral sources as well. We feel that you really only need a few good relationships, but you should take a hard look at the relationships that you have.
Next slide, please. So in trying to define or determine your target market, we really need to take a look at what do we do best, but again, it's not what we do, it's really what the market really needs. So what are the talents that we need to become more successful in the future by being able to meet the demands of the marketplace? And that's really key, and I think this is where a lot of firms have difficulties in evaluating, determining that, and then being able to implement acquiring those types of talents. So again, if we go back to some previous slides, we can do that through mergers and acquisitions. We can do it through being able to acquire even segments of consulting practices. So I see that we're running out of time.
Yes, if we, just the last slide, if we can just show you not the next slide, but the last one, marketing and lead generation. Just wanted to give you a quick, the next one. Yeah, we can just actually end on this one. Just wanted to give you an idea of the most important criteria in terms of developing a marketing and lead generation plan is finding the prospective clients through LinkedIn, Hoover's, conference attendee list, connecting with them, which are really the touch points with them through the various media, attracting them through your thought leadership and expertise, follow-up. It's all about consistent and ongoing follow-up, and then in terms of the close, the meeting proposals, conference calls, etc. This is really a great strategy in moving you through from finding to getting an opportunity to meet with a prospective client and close. So with that, and it's really the combination. It's really the combination. Not one of these will, on its own, be the silver bullet. It's really the combination of a lot of different strategies that are most effective. So with that, I'll turn it over back to Elise. I don't want to take up too much time here.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I'm just forwarding here to our SageWorks slides. But yeah, thank you, Nancy and Joe, for that presentation. That was really interesting. And I'm actually going to turn it over to my colleague Chad here, and he's going to give us a little bit of insight into some more information about SageWorks and what we do.
Good deal. Thanks, Elise. And oh, sorry, Nancy. Nice to hear from you guys again. I had the pleasure of meeting Joe and Nancy down in Texas a few months back. So I appreciate your guys' time today and for your presentation, and really for allowing me a few minutes to speak here as well. I promise not to keep everybody too much longer here for today. But I just wanted to touch base a little bit on our company and our products and how that ties into today's presentation. As we mentioned earlier on today's call, SageWorks does provide two platforms for the accounting market. With ProfitSense is our financial analysis software platform that provides both advisory and audit solutions for accounting firms, while the SageWorks Valuation Solution provides a business valuation solution that serves valuation professionals in the accounting industry. In addition to the technology that we provide, one of the main facets we pride ourselves on is our customer service and our insight that we can provide. We take great care to make sure that we're not just a software vendor for you guys, but a technology partner with our clients as well. So over the last few years, we've been making great strides in providing more education in the accounting space. Now, in light of this, earlier this year, we collaborated with 16 of the top thought leaders in the accounting industry, and we published an ebook where we were gathering insights and practice advice on how to grow your firm with trusted advisors. The content and the focus of this book is centered around helping accountants become trusted business advisors, which industry surveys show is the #1 demand from business clients. For those of you on the call that are interested, there is a digital download available for free on our website. You can see the link listed here, or the ebook can be purchased in paperback on Amazon if you would prefer a hard copy instead. Now, in regards to providing advisory services, I'd like to take a few minutes to look at the top 3 reasons that small business owners select their CPA. Well, I think the first 2 reasons come as no surprise here. Many people aren't as familiar or in sync with the third reason that's listed. So number 1, CPAs are chosen for their expertise and their knowledge in the field of accounting. As many of you understand, running a business can be a very complex endeavor, and most business owners are not wired to understand the aspects of the financials behind running that specific business. Number 2, CPAs are chosen for their responsiveness. Business owners want to know that they're being heard and that someone has their back in their time of need. In my time here, I've spoken with thousands of accountants over the past decade, and I've yet to meet one single accountant that has not been willing to do whatever their client asks of them. Most accountants think this is the one thing they do is what differentiates their practice from all others. But the reality is that everyone is willing to provide reactive services based on their client's needs. What's really going to be the third option here. So CPAs are chosen because of their proactive strategic advice that they offer. As we just discussed, 99% of accountants are willing and able to provide reactive services, but those firms that are providing proactive services for their business clients are the ones that will set themselves apart from their competition, and they're the ones that are willing to go above and beyond for their clients are the ones that will have an easier time both cross-selling their services to existing clients while also maintaining a high retention rate here as well. Now, while gaining new clients is always a common goal, the fact is it's 11 times more expensive to bring a new client on board than it is to work with an existing client. So we see here 25 to 40% of new business generated by top CPA firms comes from cross-selling to existing clients here. Now, we also noticed that 75% of business owners have changed firms because their CPAs are providing reactive services rather than proactive. So I asked this simple question. Would you rather be a firm that new clients seek out because of the services you provide, or would you rather be the firm that loses top clients to other firms because you simply were not in touch with what they really want and what they really need? Now, the last touch here of why you should be a proactive advisor, in addition to adding additional services, advisory and consulting services, as 10 million baby boomer businesses come up for sale here over the next several years, Exit planning and business valuations are a significant revenue opportunity for your firm, and it's a great way to add to those advisory service options. Now, where does SageWorks come into play here? How can we help? So with both of our platforms, when we look at ProfitSense, there's several benefits we can discuss here. Obviously, we can go into a ton of detail. We could spend an hour or more talking about both of these platforms, but just kind of a higher, an overview here. With ProfitSense, you have the opportunity to differentiate your firm by providing, industry-specific benchmarks and KPIs to provide that proactive advice. Think about if you were in an initial meeting with a client and you had the ability to provide insight into the industry without even knowing their financials, how that's going to set you apart, give you the ability to compete more on value and less on pricing with your competition. ProfitSense is going to give you the opportunity to streamline your audit and reviews by providing automated calculations and documentation for those engagements. Using ProfitSense to acquire clients with easy-to-understand graphs, metrics, and narrative reports. Whether they ask for it or not, every business owner would like to have the ability to know more about their business, how their business is running, and also how they compare to their peers. And with using ProfitSense, you have the ability to uncover client financial insights that, as we mentioned earlier, is going to help you improve your retention, as well as generate new engagements there amongst your existing clients. Now, for the SageWorks valuation solution, we have here, once again, just like ProfitSense, a web-based platform that's going to allow you to save time while following the income, the market, and the asset approaches to generate accurate and defensible valuations. Using the platform is going to reduce your human error through consistent process and analysis. It's going to provide access to valuations and client documents quickly and easily provide high-quality service. And it's going to allow you the opportunity to create customized reports faster to increase realization rates at your firm. Most of our clients that are using the platform experience anywhere between 8 to 10 hours in doing that valuation, not only making that process more efficient, but also by allowing us the ability to create that customized document writer at the end of the report, that 20 to 30 page report, as part of your process. I want to appreciate, once again, the time for me to speak today and to provide some insight here. I'm going to hand this back over to Elise now for our next poll question.
And that poll question is open, and if we'd really appreciate if you everyone take a moment to answer. And I'll just leave this open here for a few more seconds, give everybody a chance to get their answers in. All right, just a few more seconds so that everyone has a chance. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and close that. All right, and that wraps it up for us. Now we do have a minute here if there's any questions. So I'm just going to check here if you have any questions. I think you guys do know how the questions box is working. I know we had a little bit of technical difficulties, and I really appreciate everybody that responded, letting us know if they did or didn't have audio at various times, and that was helpful in us resolving it. So thank you for everybody that participated in that. And at this point, if you have any questions in terms of content, or if you asked one earlier, a lot of comments came in, so it may have gotten lost in the shuffle, and I don't want to miss anyone. So if anybody has a comment that or a question that they'd like to have answered here, please do send those on in. And let's see. And just to recap on the slides, if you would like the slides, you can contact Nancy directly, and we'll follow this up with an email that will contain both the recording and Nancy's email. So you will get an email after this presentation later today with that information. So you'll be able to access both the recording and then contact Nancy for the slides. There's a little bit of information in the slides that she can provide. But we are getting close on time, so let's see. Okay, so we do have a couple questions coming in here. Let's see. Nancy and Joe, someone asked, some traditional firms are hesitant to bring in advisory partners due to cultural differences. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, certainly that is a concern, and something that needs to be taken into account if it is a full-time consulting advisory type of partner or partners. It is a different type of approach to clients than traditional tax and audit services. So yes, you have to be open-minded and understand that this is a different business, but if everyone teams up and provides the support and the types of cross-selling that's necessary, it can be very successful.
Excellent. And another question we had come in was, what would you recommend as a great way for firms to get in front of the actual decision makers and not just front desk gatekeepers?
That's a good question. Certainly in terms of educating your referral sources, and we've seen that to be, it seems to be a problem with some partners. So what we suggest is really educating your bankers, your attorneys, and financial advisors to make them have a good understanding of not only what you're providing in terms of the advisory, but the benefits to their clients. And that's really a key point. So whether it's done by making presentations to attorney groups, banker groups, webinars, that's something that's really necessary. The other way is to be able to target directly through LinkedIn. You'd be surprised as to how many presidents, CEOs, and owners of companies will respond. So those are just some examples, and if the person who was asking that question would like to contact Nancy, that would be great, and I'm sure she'd be happy to provide more suggestions.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for answering. Those questions, and we are at time now. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. And thank you, Joe and Nancy, for that wonderful presentation, and thank you everyone for attending today.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Well, everyone have a great day, and definitely we will follow up with the email and which you can respond to or contact Nancy for any questions or for the slides. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.